Sorry, let me go ahead and press record before we get started. Okay, it is now recording. Okay, Anna, well, we're gonna assume that there's been a ton of empathy. We're at the point where you're ready for change, and I'm just gonna jump right into the triple paradox. And I'm gonna have you write. So if it was my real client, I'll just say, I'm gonna just have you just put at the top of your piece of paper the benefits of continuing to drink. Okay, and it's gonna feel pretty counterintuitive, but right now this is the motivational treatment model where we're really gonna look at what has been all of the good reasons why you've continued, and then we're gonna make sure that you're gonna want the help that I have to offer you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, what would be the benefits of continuing to drink?
The benefits would be that I can feel good quickly. You know, I feel good when I drink. So I would say, like, I get instant pleasure. And
let's put that down. I can feel good quickly. I get instant pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to put all of this down for the sake of the demonstration, but that's
okay.
the way to do it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I'll just like do a lot of disarming throughout. Like, yeah, it is true. You know, you can feel good quickly, and truly nothing can make you feel good as quickly, right? Like any of the tools that I'll show you, it may lead to long-term more satisfaction, but truly when you're feeling down and you're needing that quick fix that can help you to feel good, alcohol really will do the job on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Get instant pleasure. Yeah, that's a big one. What else?
It kind of helps me like to escape. I don't have to think about, you know, all my problems. I can just forget about it for a little while.
Yeah, it helps you escape. That's a powerful one, isn't it? I
Mm-hmm.
know when you've been suffering in the past, or even when some of the old traumas come up, the drinking helps you to escape that suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I would say also it helps me to, you know, just feel comfortable in social settings too. I would say, like, just whenever I go out, you know, to events or, you know, with social interactions, I think it just helps me feel more comfortable also.
Absolutely. Alcohol has been called liquid confidence for a reason, because it does just quickly help us in social settings feel more comfortable, feel a bit more confident, right? And then I'm going to assume that we've just listed an exhaustive list of benefits. And even if she gets stuck, like if I've known that this has done some other things for her, I'll just prompt, like, could this possibly be the benefit where, you know, it's not only helped you to feel comfortable in social settings, but it's been like a connecting point. Like all your friends drink, and so not just get comfortable, but it's been like the thing to do that's kind of fun and enjoyable. Would that be true for you?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll just pretend to do some prompting like that. But again, we just want an exhaustive list from them, and the more we can get the benefits in their words, the better. And only when they get stuck would I prompt them. So I'm going to assume we got an exhaustive list of the benefits. And then I would go then, okay, so now we have a list of the benefits there. And the next step I'm going to go to with you is really looking at what are the costs of letting it go? Because I know you hear from your loved ones all the time, continuing drink's going to kill you, and all of the cost of continuing, but there are actually truly costs of letting it go. Can you think of any?
Yeah. Cost of letting it go, I would, you know, it would just be hard. It would be a lot of, I think, just self-control. I wouldn't, like you kind of said earlier, like a quick fix. I would have to, I guess, deal with my emotions, the different emotions that come up. So I
Yeah.
think that would be a big cost for me.
So I'm actually hearing two different costs that you've listed. The first cost was that there's going to need to be some self-control,
Mm-hmm.
like just some hardcore discipline. Is that what I'm hearing there?
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
other cost is just having to deal with the different emotions that will rise up, knowing
Mm-hmm.
that initially, now I'm actually going to let go of this thing that has helped me cope with these emotions, and it's going to rise up, and I'm going to have to face it sober.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
yeah, and initially, how is that going to feel?
It's going to feel really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to like it.
Right.
I'm going to feel like, I guess, deprived in a way also. Like I can't do something that I've always, wanted to do or,
Mm-hmm.
was available to me. So I think it'll just,
Right.
yeah, it'll suck probably.
Yeah, it'll suck. Exactly. You said it'll be uncomfortable. It'll suck.
Yeah.
You'll feel
Yeah.
deprived. It'll feel really painful, and we'll write all of that down too, because those are the truth, isn't it? So you
Mm-hmm.
could tell Anna has had some good training, and she's very dedicated to learning about the process resistance. Because with any habits and addiction, there's going to be a process resistance, and process resistance is what do they need to do that they don't want to do, but this is what they need to do that's required in order to get better. And with any habits and addiction, the process resistance is discipline and deprivation. Those are the two costs of letting it go that they don't want to do, but they will have to. They're going to have to feel deprived, and they're going to have to practice a lot of discipline, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just all of the other reasons you said, I'll have to deal with my emotions, it'll be uncomfortable, it'll be painful. And then I would just have them list this all down exhaustively. We would list some other things too. And uh, during the last webinar, we've already had some involvement, but just think for yourself in your mind, what else would be the cost of letting it go? Other people may say various things like, then I'll have to lose that uh, one thing that helps me to socialize. I may have to cut off some friends. I'm going to have some withdrawal symptoms, maybe, or at least some pretty bad cravings initially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if
Yeah.
it's just on a psychological addiction level. Like I had a guy who just drank like every day, but it was just like one drink. So there wasn't a physical withdrawal, but for him, it was still quite torturous mentally. I'm like, oh, now I can't relax without this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So relaxation and the
Yeah.
other things are the benefits, right? So when you list the benefits in the triple paradox, that's listing out all the good reasons to not change, and that's the outcome resistance. When you list out all the cost of letting it go, that's now listing out the process resistance. What are they going to have to do that they aren't going to want to
Mm.
in order to get better? Okay. But we're doing it in this kind of flattering, understanding way instead of saying, oh, you just don't want to change because you know,
Yeah.
you're just stuck in that now and you just want attention, or, the previous ways we've looked at resistance is kind of off-putting and judgmental. We now want to really look at resistance in a way that's very empathic and flattering and understanding. And so that's why we've added the third column of the triple paradox now, and it's the values. What does it show about you that's actually really positive, that you want to continue to drink because it's helping you feel good, you get pleasure, you get to escape your pain. And then the cost of letting it go is you're going to feel deprived, you're going to feel uncomfortable, painful. What does that show about you that's actually really positive, that you want to continue to drink and not let it go?
Um, I think that as far as positive, it shows that um, that I want to
Mm-hmm.
feel good, I think. And as far as
Yeah.
like positivity, I mean something positive about me that, well, I want to feel confident. I want to feel,
Mm-hmm.
in social interactions. I want to, um, I guess, I don't know. This
Yeah.
is harder,
It's
I
a bit
think.
challenging, isn't it?
It
Oh,
is.
I know, because all your life, I mean, throughout your whole struggle, you've probably heard this makes you a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this makes you selfish. So it is very counterintuitive to truly look at the values. But I love where you're going. The first thing I heard is that you care about feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
You care about your feelings, and maybe we could even word that like you care about not suffering.
Yeah.
You talked about, I want to escape my pain. I want to
Mm-hmm.
not let it go because I know initially it'll just be really painful. So it's like I
Mm-hmm.
care about not suffering. I care about
Mm-hmm.
how I'm feeling, wanting to feel good. And is that a good
Yeah.
thing to care about not suffering
Yeah.
and trying to prevent your suffering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I heard you say is that you value feeling confident. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wonder in that, and we could put that one down too, where I care about feeling confident. And I wonder in that if it just shows like you really care about connecting with people and socializing
Mm-hmm.
instead of just feeling awkward or disconnected. You actually care about being involved socially with people.
Yeah. That's
Is
true.
that important to you?
Yes.
Is that a good thing?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so you see these prompting questions when we do this third column of the triple paradox is, yeah, is that true about you? Is this a good thing? And you'll see once we do this in a genuine way, you start to truly really side with their resistance in a genuine way. Like you can truly see, I can really see why this person continues. And I can really see why they don't want to let it go. And it is tied to some kind of protection of the self or something like that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other things about you that that's really positive, that it shows about you that's really positive, that you want to continue to drink and not let it go?
Um, I would say hmm, it, well, you kind of mentioned it earlier, um, as far as relaxation or unwind, I guess that I value, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
relaxing or de-stress. No, that's not the right word,
Yeah.
but like when you come home, from work or long day, it's kind of like I
Mm-hmm.
just want to, like, for me, like that's my break in a sense,
Yeah.
like getting away from everything else and just getting, relaxing. So I guess
Yeah.
valuing that
Yeah.
downtime, that relaxation time.
Yeah. Shows I value
Mhm.
relaxation, maybe some kind of self-care,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, like I value just time moments of self-care, getting breaks for myself.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
sounds like it's connected to that's the part of the feeling good and not suffering. It's
Right.
valuing just having some time for self-care,
Mhm.
unwinding, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll put down self-care, valuing kind of self-care slash break slash
Mhm.
unwinding, right?
Right.
Yeah, is that a good thing when we give ourselves that time after a stressful day? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And
Mhm.
then, I may prompt other things with her and tie it with her benefits and the cost there on like, and of course, only when they get stuck, I'll have them list exhaustively as many things as they can. But in this too, it shows like the really positive thing that it shows about her is maybe it shows that you're really just coping the best way that you know how, and you're doing your best to survive all the hard things that you've been through.
Mm.
Would that be true about you? Because I know you've started to drink ever since that trauma that you've been through, and would that be
Yeah.
true about you? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think that is true. I didn't, I guess, think about it like that, but it's true. I did use that to cope, with the trauma, and I think it
Yeah.
goes, it shows that, um, that I just tried to survive in some way, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And what does that show about you that's really positive? That you turn to this thing, you've been through some horrible things, and then now you're just doing your best to survive.
Hmm.
Are there any possible values or traits about you that shows about you that's really positive?
I guess it shows that, in a way, that I I did my best to take to cope, or to deal with my feelings in a way. I don't know. I
You're doing
guess,
your best.
Yeah.
You're
Mhm.
doing your best. You're doing the best that you know how to do. I was even
Mhm.
thinking of maybe like perseverance, continuing to move
Mm.
forward even when it's really hard. Would that be true about you?
Yeah, now that I think about it, that's true. There are times I wanted to give up, but
Yeah,
um, yeah, I persevered through it. Mhm.
right. What you drink to survive so you can then just move forward with life, even though it's
Mhm.
really hard, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a couple of questions in the chat. So let me check with that. One was, oh, they attended my webinars but didn't get credit. Oh, please email me and let me know which ones. Possibly you joined me, but you weren't on the registration list, maybe, or I may have just missed it myself. So please email me and let me know what training it was, and I'll send out your certificate. The other question was, do you and your patient both write this list? Yes. So when you're doing this, and I'll show you why it's important when we do voicing the resistance, is we want a list that they can see and that we can see as well. And also when you put it in writing, it really integrates the learning. And I'll just pretend like you are the client again, Anna.
Mhm.
Yeah, what do you think about this list of the benefits and the cost of letting it go and what it shows about you that's actually really positive?
Um, I mean, it really helps me to see it in a different way. I never really saw it like that. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's usually right. We just think it's bad, right? And it's just hurting me. But now that you put it like this, I guess I can see, right, that there are a lot of reasons
Mm,
why I drink, and
right.
that they're not necessarily bad reasons. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like
Right.
there are a lot of good reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And most of the time, the clients will say things like that, like, oh, I've never really thought of it that way before. Maybe this is for the first time I'm not feeling so bad about myself. I
Hmm.
just thought that I was crazy, um, whether I'm binge eating or whatever else. I thought I was just crazy and out of control. But for the first time, I'm kind of seeing there are good reasons why I've continued. And these are true benefits and true values that it shows about them. And it can really just start to shed shame. I feel like that's
Hmm.
just the secondary effect of doing the triple paradox in this way, where we look at the resistance in a positive, flattering way. It helps them to shed shame. And so from here, I'm assuming we have an exhaustive list, and I would go into voicing the resistance, do it in a conversational way where it's like, okay, well, considering these benefits and costs, why would you want to do this hard work to change? But I like to be a little bit more transparent with my clients. And our whole motto with TEAM-CBT is we want to teach them to become their own therapist. So I want to be transparent with every step that I'm doing with them. So I'll say something like, now I want to use a motivational tool called Voicing the Resistance. And what I'm going to do in this tool is I'm going to take on the voice of that part of you that has all of these good reasons to continue to drink and to not let it go. And your role would be to take on the voice of change, but you just tell me, why should you change if you should at all? So just kind of answer some of my questions naturally, and how you would just feel about it in your own way. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions about that before we move forward with voicing the resistance?
No, I think I understand. Hmm.
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm going to take on the voice of, that part of you that has had all of these good reasons to continue to drink. And then again, you just tell me why you should change. You're going to take
Okay.
on that voice of change, if you should change at all, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it actually makes a little bit more sense to continue this pattern, right? And when I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that, I'm saying it in a genuine way, because after you do this exhaustive list, that piece was open hands, where open hands means I'm okay if they continue to choose to not let this go. I will fully accept them in this decision. If this isn't the best time for them to change, then it's not the best time. And I will not ever take on the role of taking on the voice of change, like, oh, now, but if you don't change now, you're going to hurt yourself, because then again, you'll face resistance. Open hands means when we're doing this, I'm okay if they really can't talk back to the resistance, right? Okay, Anna. So the truth is, when you drink, it can help you to feel really good quickly, and you can get that instant pleasure. why would you want to do this hard work with me to change that and to let that go?
Yeah, that's true. I do feel good, but eventually I don't, the more I drink, it gets pretty bad, then I end up sometimes a lot of times either missing work, forgetting about, activities with my daughter I have to do, and that's really important to me to be
Mm,
to be there for her. And so I think that um, it's it's not worth it, because eventually, I mean, it can even kill me if I'm not careful. So yeah,
wow.
it helps. It's a quick fix, but there's a lot of bad that comes with it.
Mm.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so you're saying that it's true. It does feel good initially. It does give you that instant pleasure, but eventually it doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah.
It can get pretty bad. You can end up forgetting activities with your daughter or miss work, and it's really important for you to be there for her.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I hear you on that, but at the same time, it really helps you to escape all those bad things that you've been through. And when it comes up, you can just quickly get away from that. Why would you want to let that go?
Yeah, I can escape, but I think it's time that I stop, running away from my issues, or
Mm,
I just need to start facing it. I need to start facing it. I need to start facing the trauma and the things that have happened to me, and it's time. It's time to make a change, and not escape anymore. Yeah, it is gonna probably be pretty painful to face it, but I need to. I'm 40 something. I'm 45 years old, but I need to become an adult at this point and face it. So,
mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm. Good. Okay. The thing I forgot to do with you before we move forward is before I actually do voicing the resistance, I would rate how motivated are you to change now from 0 to 100 after we listed out all the benefits to continue and all the cost of letting it go and what it shows about you. That's actually really positive to continue. Where is your motivation to change? So we're going to assume I asked this beforehand.
Hmm. Yeah. I would rate it at um
Mhm.
like 60%.
60, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. So 100, and I forgot to say, like 0 would be I'm not motivated at all, and 100% is I'm completely ready to change, right? And almost never do I see 100% after we do the positive reframing or the triple paradox there. And then the teaching point that I wanted to share with you on voicing the resistance is I take on her benefits and then I ask her why would she want to do this hard work with me to change, to let go of that benefit. And I will let her voice answer it however she wants. And so you see what I did after that was I did some thought empathy where you just repeated what she said to kind of again integrate the learning, but then you just hit her with the next thought, with the next benefit, right? So I said, yeah, you're saying it does help you feel good, but then eventually it gets pretty bad, blah blah blah, you won't be there for your daughter, but at the same time, doesn't it help you escape? So again, you go straight back to being the voice of the resistance. And then once she continues, I would say, but then it really helps you to feel really comfortable in those social settings.
Hmm.
So it's like, yeah, you're saying it's time to stop running away from your issues, and it's helping you escape at the same time. In those social settings with your friends helps you feel comfortable, helps you to have fun with them. Why would you want to let that go?
Yeah, it does help me to have fun, but there's other ways to have fun. I think I just need to learn that there's other ways and not think that there's just only one way
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy myself with my friends. There are other things I can do, and I don't want that to be a crutch. I don't want to have to use that as a crutch for the rest of my life to feel comfortable around people
Mm.
either. Yeah, I need to learn other ways to feel comfortable.
Okay, that's good. So you're saying it helps you to have fun, but there's other ways to have fun, and you just really
Mhm.
don't want this as a crutch anymore. At the same time, there's going to be some cost in this work of us in letting it go. I feel like we do have the tools that can help you to go there. But the truth is, you're going to have to go through some, cravings, deprivation, really practice a lot of self-control with some of these tools, and also some of those emotions may rise up for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to do that hard work there?
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, you put it like that, it is like I'm not looking forward to the withdrawal and the hard work, but I have to think of the end result. I have to think of, what this could do for my family and for my daughter. And, yeah, I'm not gonna like it. I know I'm not gonna like depriving, but I want to do it for myself. I know I have probably so much more potential, and goals I want to reach in my life, and I want to be there for my daughter. So
Okay.
um, it'll be worth it. I just have to keep the end in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do know you won't be looking forward to it, and it'll be painful, and um but you're saying for the end result, that's what you want to focus on, what it will do for your family, yourself. You have more
Mhm.
potential, and it feels worth it for you. And
Yeah.
really, with the cost, I'd likely just hit them one at a time, but I'm trying to summarize it all up, and then I'll throw out some of the values too, and have them challenge that. Like, but doesn't continuing to drink really shows that you value just not suffering, and that you care about feeling confident in social settings?
Yeah, that's true. That is a good thing about me, but I don't think that will change just because like that value, I can still value that without drinking. I just need to figure out other ways of feeling good and being comfortable or confident and connecting with people.
Right.
So I don't think I need to continue that just because I value these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And a lot of my clients too will say exactly that. Like, yeah, I can value these things without the drinking. They would also say, actually, but continuing to drink will also go against my values because I want true confidence, or I want,
Mm,
to truly care for myself, because actually in the long run, I'm hurting myself. So it's again letting them take on the voice of talking back to that those values and that protection. So when we wrap it up here, I would say I would, of course, have them write down all of this for their voice of change. And then I say, looking at this list, has it shifted your motivation any from the 60% where you're saying, actually, it does help me feel good, but I feel bad in the long run that I'm not there for my daughter.
mhm.
Um, I'm not truly feeling confident. Whatever else, I'll just kind of list that out with them. Has it shifted your motivation to change from that 60%?
Yeah, I would say it's probably at a um I would say close to 90, like a 90% right now. Yeah. Mhm.
And this is really a tool that you can look at anytime you feel like your motivation is low. You can look at all of the good reasons to continue to drink and the cost of letting it go, and then look at all of your how you would look at how we did voicing the resistance and how you took on the voice of change. And often when my clients read through their voice of change list, it actually often boosts their motivation again, because we know with habits and addictions, motivations will just ebb and flow, and they're going to need something to help boost their motivation, probably continuously at the
Mhm.
first steps of this, right? So I'm going to pause there for any questions before we go into demonstrating the devil's advocate. And you can open your mic to ask questions, or you can just type it in the chat.
Mm.
I think someone's asking a question, but it's breaking up a lot. And I couldn't really hear any piece of that. I'm still not able to hear that. Is anyone else able to hear that question? Yeah, I'm
Maybe they
sorry, I'm
can
not.
try typing it in. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly if you could try typing it in if you're in the app on your phone there, that could help. For you, Anna, as people are thinking of questions, how did it feel like for you to have your therapist solely be paradoxical and stay on the really empathizing with the part that doesn't want to change, and then you taking on the voice of change? How did that feel like for you?
I think as the client, I think it felt really good. Like you were really understanding, and like you said, empathetic. I could really feel like you weren't trying to change me, right? You weren't trying to convince me that I need to stop drinking. And so I think it felt really good on my end of it. And so I think as the client, it's a very refreshing experience, I would say, because I think, right, it's usually the other way around. So I really think it's understanding, it's refreshing, it's empathic. I felt all of those things on my side.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that you said those words, because that's the whole point of it. Like, agenda setting in TEAM-CBT is meant to actually be advanced empathy, where they truly feel like this part of them that's been demonized is actually being honored and heard and understood. And so that does feel good compared to if the therapist is saying, but if you continue to do this, it's going to hurt your child. Then you feel kind of judged or,
Hmm.
distanced from them. And
Yeah.
then it's really kind of respectful to step back. And ultimately, if the client says, it does feel really good and it does help me sleep, and I'm not ready to let it go, just keep staying paradoxical. And that really makes sense. That
Hmm.
makes sense, that this has been your coping skill for so long that you don't want to let this go. And maybe this really isn't the best time to do this work,
Hmm.
and I really will completely respect you on that. And then if they don't want to do the work, then I let them go. And then, if there's a time when you change your mind, and you feel like you're ready to do this work, I'll be more than happy to work with you. But I really respect where you're at and understand why you want to let that go. So just stay paradoxical and open hands there.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna pause really quick because there's some background noise. Okay, I think that muted everyone. Okay, there's a couple of questions now. One is, you asked many times the motivation that she has until when. Okay, so that must have been my mistake if I, during the teaching, it came off like I asked her, if I'm understanding the question right, like, how motivated are you to change, to let this go? I really only do that twice. I do it right after I do the triple paradox, because right then you've listed all the good reasons to keep drinking, all the costs of letting it go. Then I would say, like, after the triple paradox, how motivated are you to really change and to let this go? 0 to 100, 0 being not at all motivated, 100 being completely. Then after I do voicing the resistance, where I give them the chance of taking on the voice of change, I will rate the motivation to change again. So I would say, after voicing the resistance and taking on the voice of change, has it shifted your motivation to change any? Has it changed your motivation from that 60%? Did I answer your question there, Rachel? Let me know if I did. I want to make sure I understood it
Hi,
clearly.
do you hear me?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Uh, the question is, you have to wait until some percent, or the
Oh,
second time, she has to say like 90% or 100%, or if she says 60%, you can go on.
that's a really good question. Right. So obviously, if it's 50%, there would be just too much against us for us to move forward in this work. They're still half and half. They're still torn. And even then, I'll be very open hands on. Right now, there still seems like there's a lot of reasons to not let it go. So it may not be the best time to do this work. And then let them really, because my job is to let them know I have the tools to help them, but their job is to actually convince me they want these tools to change. I'm not going to sell these tools to them and tell them how much it'll help their lives. Maybe a little bit with dangling the carrot, but really they have to convince me that they want the change. So um, with like relationship work and addiction, like my trainer was Mike Christensen, he'll say he'll really look for roughly around 70%. 60% you could likely go ahead and move forward with change, but I would still be more paradoxical until I feel at a gut level, I'm convinced that I'm not going to be the one that's working harder for them to change, and that they will put in some work, even though it's going to be hard. That it is their voice and their choice that they want to change. So roughly 70% is what we look for. But again, every case is different. Kind of trust your gut and your intuition. And if you're feeling the resistance again, just really fall back to being paradoxical.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
good
you.
question. Thank you for that. Okay, Shelly's asking, do you usually have time to do all of this in one session? Yes, usually I do. When we're doing the triple paradox and voicing the resistance, a 50-minute to hour session is usually enough. And then if it's not, and if it's really taking a long time, like they're coming up with a ton of benefits and costs, then it's okay to just put that on hold until the next session. Then you can do voicing the resistance, right? So this is where the invitation of agenda setting is really important, because if it's a client who endlessly processes, then you really never have time for the tools. And so we really practice inviting them to do the work and how to respond to it in a healthy way to make the sessions most productive. Okay, I'll take one more question, and then we'll go into the devil's advocate. Were there any other questions there? What other questions there are? Okay, felt pretty clear. Okay, then we'll go then straight into, yeah, Anna?
Sorry, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think I struggle with that the open hands piece of it, because right, with addictions, I think for me my fear is, okay, if they really aren't ready yet,
Mm-hmm.
and they go back out there, you decide, okay, you tell them, come back when you're ready. I guess my fear is like, what if they overdose, or what if something happens? And it's like, I don't know. I think that's this part I struggle with, kind of really letting them go and making that decision for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
It's
not,
painful.
huh?
It's painful to do
Yeah.
that. It is. It's kind of a heartbreaking process. It's painful to do open hands sometimes, and to let them go and to know, yeah, they're choosing this, and they could overdose. They could, and they will likely continue in that pattern if they don't overdose, right? It's a painful process. At the same time, what are your thoughts if they say they're not quite ready, and how it would feel for you to continue to do this work where you're saying, I'm still not quite ready, and I'll sometimes come and still actively drink and get high. What would that be like for you? As the alternative is, then we could keep them until they're ready to change.
Right. Right. That would be hard too, because it's like, I guess you have to ask yourself, what do you feel comfortable with? I guess, right, there's two sides of the coin, because I guess you could think, okay, maybe if eventually as they come along, even if they are drinking, like minimizing, I guess it's like, what is your goal as a therapist? Do you believe in harm reduction model, I guess, right? Versus complete abstinence, and I guess it depends on the goal of the client also,
Yeah,
and what you're
exactly.
comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I would prefer, right, like you said, to have them completely motivated, um,
Mm-hmm.
in treatment. I think I just have to get it, I guess, over, I don't know, those questions or those
Oh, I know.
fears.
And those questions really come from your heart, your compassion. It's hard to see someone continue to get worse in their lives. At the same time, looking at being paradoxical in Team CBT, I feel like sometimes it's actually the most respectful route, because I'm not gonna say for you, I know what's going to be better for your life at this time while this thing is working for you, right? And I'm not going to be the person who wants you to get better more than you, because what I found is, I think all of us have been stuck in that. And the more I stayed longer in them being resistant, not quite changing, I actually became very unrewarding, kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Then I see more resistance, and then the therapy process becomes kind of painful and disengaging too. And so
That's
yeah,
true.
you're making a great point on the therapist has to kind of decide what are they comfortable with. If you're okay with continuing therapy like that, but you feel safe that, okay, at least they're getting some kind of help, then that would work. But for me, I have found, like, for me, letting them go until they choose to change, because I have had that happen with a person too, like with Xanax. And then when she was fully ready to change and to go all in with the therapy, it was just a lot more rewarding. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. But yeah, I think it's just a human thing that that comes from your compassion when you're concerned or worried about that. Okay, so the devil's advocate is one of the methods then when I feel like, okay, now they're ready for change. Then we would do some of the other tools like listing out their tempting thoughts, identifying the positive distortions in one of the thoughts. But I really like the devil's advocate because it kind of just continues to stay motivational. And so with the devil's advocate, I would say, can you choose a moment in time, Anna, when you really felt tempted to drink, a moment in the past when it, in that moment you just felt like the alcohol was calling your name. It often kind of has a very convincing, seductive voice. Can you think of a moment in time when you just felt really triggered there and tempted? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, I thought you were thinking that
Sorry. I didn't realize I was on mute. My bad. So yeah, I can think of a time, recently when I was at work and, that day actually I got my evaluation back and it was pretty poor. It was, below average. And so I'm just afraid I might even lose my job. I was afraid of, losing my job. And so, yeah, I was really tempted in that moment when I got off of work, to wait, pause. You want me to like run through like a scenario that happened where I did?
Just that moment in time was actually sufficient.
Okay, perfect.
Like, we just want to really get clear on what is that moment when she felt really tempted. Okay, it was a day at work. I got my evaluation back. It was poor. Then I would just get a little bit more details on like, what day was this and what time was it?
Yeah, so it was actually last Friday.
Last Friday. And around what time was it when you just started to feel like really tempted?
Yeah, it was right. Because I got the evaluation at the end of the day, so it was right when I was leaving work, like around 5 p.m.
5. Yeah, around 5 p.m. And why we want to get really specific in a moment in time is it'll let them dive into that feeling of temptation so we can really clearly come up with tempting thoughts and defeat them more effectively. Okay. So I want to get really specific so I can take the client right to that moment and almost re-trigger those feelings for her. And I would often do, some testing first on how tempted were you in that moment, from 0 to 100, 100% being completely tempted. And I was ready to drive to the liquor store or go home and drink. 0 is not at all tempted.
It was really high. Like, I would say like 95%.
Yeah. And then often they say it was really high, it was 95, and then actually I did go home and drink after that or something like that, right? Okay, and let's say right before you took that first drink, what were the thoughts that the alcohol was telling you? And we'll pretend whatever, it's wine or whatever is their substance of choice. So we ask, what was it saying to you? For example, like, I'll just have one. It's going to feel so good. Those are some examples of the tempting thoughts. What were yours?
Yeah, it was like, just here, this will help you feel better. Like, you
have a drink.
Just have a drink, forget about it, just relax help. This will help you to relax. Just, it felt like I could relax with that. Like I was so tense and stressed out.
Absolutely. So it told you, so the first thought I'll have you write down is have a drink. It will help you feel better. And then you said, just go for it. It'll help you relax, right? So we'll write that down as number 2. What else did it say to you? that was really
Uh,
productive and tempting.
you know, it was just like, in a way, also, you know, just forget about it, like take a drink, you know, like kind of like, okay, don't worry about that. Like this
Hmm.
this is gonna help.
Just do it. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
just
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This will help. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
another good one. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too much. Just do it. This will
Mhm.
help, right? And my clients will come up with many other ones like it's just going to be one time. No one will even have to know, or
Mhm.
you deserve this,
Mm.
whatever else. Um,
Yeah.
and then after we list an exhaustive list of the tempting thoughts that they had, um, because these thoughts will likely come up over and over and over again, I would then do just introducing to them the devil's advocate, right? So with the devil's advocate, what we're doing is we're recreating that temptation for you and all the tempting thoughts that will come up. And so right now I'm going to take on the role of this temptation. I'm going to be the voice, this part of your mind, the voice of the alcohol actually, that will try to convince you to relapse. And then I'm just going to have you respond to me and try to defeat the devil, and just do your best with that and see where it goes. Okay, you got any questions on this before we move forward with this method, Anna?
Um, no, so my job is just to defeat you, to talk
Yeah,
back.
to
Okay.
talk back to me and to defeat me and see
Mm.
where it goes for you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Anna, you just got this poor evaluation and it feels so bad, and really you should just have a drink and it's going to help you feel better pretty quickly too.
Yeah, yeah, it might, right, initially, but then I'll actually start feeling really bad, and I'll probably even, eventually even feel worse afterwards after I like,
Hmm.
get drunk because I do want to stop drinking, so I'll probably feel really bad afterwards, like guilty and
Hmm.
ashamed. And so
Right.
yeah, actually it won't last that long, that feeling
Mm-hmm.
good. Yeah.
So you're saying initially, but it will help me feel better, but it won't last that long, and eventually it could feel really bad.
Yeah.
Um, and then, did you feel like your voice won or my voice won?
I won.
Was it a small or a big win?
I would say it was a big win.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, sometimes you can go, was it a big or a huge win? But as long as it's a big win, we can continue to move forward with the next step. Um, okay, so I'm going to be back to that tempting voice. At the same time, it's really going to help you to relax, and you deserve this after such a long, hard day.
Well, I can figure out other ways to relax. I've been wanting to look into getting a massage. I can go get a massage. I don't need to drink.
Mhm. I love
There's
it.
other better things I can treat myself to
Yeah.
that won't have all these really negative
Uh-huh.
effects at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. And did you win there or did I win?
I won.
Was that small or big?
Big.
Big or huge?
Huge, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. And then I would just keep going with the next thought. And the thing with the devil's advocate is if they didn't have a small win, you're not going to reverse roles and try to take on that helping voice, because again, that will then create more resistance. You then actually stay paradoxical. So if I said, you deserve this, it's going to help you relax. And she's like, yeah, it really will. I'm feeling really tempted right now. And I just need to go and take that drink. I would actually just keep going like, yeah, it may not make sense to actually do this work to reduce your drinking or to let it go right now because you're having a really hard time, and it's going to help you feel better. So you stay paradoxical, right? You give them the chance to take on the voice of change. And with this, I'll often, they're in their non-tempted state right now. They often have quite a powerful voice, especially after you did all the motivational stuff. I have clients who would say, yeah, but I want to be a role model for my child. And I want to show them healthy ways to relax and healthy ways to treat themselves instead of drinking, instead of something that's made them feel worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the key to this is I would have them record this. So all of my clients, unless they were really resistant to recording and listening to it, either record their voice or record it in writing. And then their homework would be the next time you feel tempted, you would agree with me that you would listen to this recording, listen to that voice, and just see where it goes for you and your temptations and rate that. And then we would have a lot of other tools for them as well that we've shared from the last webinar. But we are just approaching the last 5 minutes, and I wanted to just wrap it up there with this motivational tool, which is called the Devil's Advocate. And wrap up with any thoughts, questions, or takeaways that you all had from there. Rachel's asking if she can't defend herself. What if she can't defend herself, right? Rachel, would you give me an example of one way they could respond to the temptation that would show you like, oh.
Yes, that she cannot refute what you are saying.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you say that you will be more relaxed, so
Mm-hmm.
she said, yes, I will be more relaxed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then you would really want to stay paradoxical. So she would say, yeah, I really want to feel more relaxed. I would say, yeah, then that would make sense then to actually not do this work to change. Like, this is going to help you relax, and it feels worth it to just continue this pattern. And am I hearing you right?
Okay,
How
and
would
you
you
continue
respond?
this way,
Yeah.
and you stay in this way.
Yeah, because it's their job to convince me that they want the tools for me to help them. And so anytime I'll take on the change, if instead they said, oh, but it'll help me relax, and yeah, that's really true, then, and they can't refute it. And if I was to say, yeah, but don't you want to be a role model for your children to show them how to relax in a different way? What do you think would happen if we didn't stay paradoxical and we then took on the voice of defeating their temptations? What
Okay,
would that be like?
So if she can refute what you say, you go with the things that she says, why she wants to change this. For example, she wants to be an example for her kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to make sure if they can refute it, we keep going. We want to make sure it's a big win for them, and just keep going until they feel like they can defeat the tempting thoughts, right? But if they can't refute it, I just want to make sure I don't then try to take on the helping role and try to help them defeat their tempting thoughts, because then that would actually create a bit more of resistance.
Okay.
And disconnect, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's a really good question. Other thoughts or questions on this? Angela?
Well, I was thinking when you were talking about that, I don't know how accurate this would be, but it also feel like a criticism if you were to try and be that helper, you know, because they didn't think of it. If, you know, don't you want to be a role model for your kids? I mean, obviously they're not a role model for your kids, and it would start feeling like criticism, even though your intention is to be helpful.
Good point.
I think that sometimes we forget that when we try to be helpful.
Exactly. Yeah, and anytime we're trying to be helpful by taking on the voice of change, I think you're absolutely right, where it can come off like a put down, or like, didn't you see it this way? Or and truly, this is what they've heard all their lives, right? Or throughout their whole struggle is, but you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your kids, you're hurting your health. They know all of the cost of continuing to drink. And right now, if they can't defeat the tempting voice, it's telling you that this is working for them right now. Even though it's not what you want for their lives, right now it's working for them, and they're not quite ready to let it go, right? But usually if you do the motivational treatment model and that came out successful, this will be a pretty strong refuting throughout with the devil's advocate there. And then it becomes a pretty powerful tool for them. I had a woman who was doing the same thing, letting go of drinking. And she said, the moment I heard my voice say, do you really want to see your son blow up again? She said that just like at a gut level knocked out, you know, that desire, like it was still there, but it just like shifted things for her. Yeah. Okay. And Shanina says, it seems like it will be shameful contributing to the shame. When we take on the voice of change, like instead of staying paradoxical, it does add to shame. They may feel belittled. Helping shows judgment. You don't want them in this state because you think you know better than them for their lives, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's again that open hands, being okay with fully accepting where they're at right now with their decision. Okay. And we are at 11:59, so I just want to thank Anna sincerely for your skill and your great acting and just being on your feet. And yeah, just really appreciated that from you. Appreciated your warmth and your skills there. And thank you everyone else. Go ahead. What did you say?
No, I said, yeah, of course, glad to help.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And thank you so much everyone for attending. And it was good to see most of your faces in the training. I will now send out the feedback form. Please also type in your name as your way of signing out, and that's my way of verifying that you were there the whole time in order to get your credit. And then I will see you next time. See you next month. Thank you so much. Okay, Terry has a question here, but I don't know if she's still here. Of course, feel free to go if you're needing to go. I'm going to answer Terry's question real quick. Terry's asking, what would you say to the client if they ended up not being able to defeat the tempting voice, right? So staying paradoxical, like for example, they're going to say, yeah, I just really, this is going to help me to just really relax right now. I don't know if it does just sound really good. I actually want to go home and drink right now. Then staying paradoxical would mean, yeah, you're right. Maybe this really isn't the best time to do this work to change because there's just too much benefits to continuing this, and it makes sense. You know, so you really disarm why they don't want to change. So am I hearing you right? It makes sense to actually not continue to do this work and talk back to the temptation because it's really benefiting you right now in a real way, helping you relax, helping you escape. And then you can see where they go from there. Usually when you stay paradoxical, they'll be able to more likely take on the voice of change. But that's not your intention, is to make them change. It's just you're truly open hands and respecting where they're at, right? Did that answer your question there, Terry? Okay, she said yes, thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your Friday and weekend too. Take care and email me if you don't get the feedback form or any of the previous webinars that I've missed giving you credit for, okay? Thank you.